Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, forgot to do VFF and TGOD in the video, so I'll stick them in the front here. And VFF is still in a daily downtrend, but the bulls did a good job of pretty much fending off the lower high being set yet. So it was a daily bear flag setup. The bull move on Friday decreases the odds of a daily bear flag. But we still have the daily exponential resistance in play, and we still need the daily trend changed. I would consider anything under 1156 to be a lower high on the daily. So we'll have to top out, hold the support of 889, and then break resistance to change the daily trend. So bulls just giving themselves a little bit more space to work with and essentially fending off a very weak setup, at least for now. TGOD is in a tightening range as well. Again, want to keep an eye on TGOD this coming week because of this tightening range. High of 340 and 342, a little double top of resistance. Support down at 306. Looks like our lower high may be set at 330. I'm not ready to call that our lower high yet unless we break 320 support on Monday. So if we break the low of Friday on Monday, then 330 will be our lower high and 306 will be the must-hold support level. But watch these exponential moving averages, which are trying to get the first clear bull cross in multiple months. And we would have to break 340 and 342 to see that happen, but worth watching over the next week or two to see if the bulls are able to pull that off. Hey everyone, checking in on Canadian MJ. We'll do a US MJ video later today. So the key that we're watching on the bigger names is, can we change the daily trends? Can we form higher lows and higher highs and get over the daily exponential resistances, which we can see here on CGC have been keeping the price pretty contained over the last couple of months? That would be a momentum shift if we can see that happen. It's not happening at this point. Also make sure and check out the market video. The S&P 500 is just starting to show some signs of weakness that may indicate that weekly consolidation is coming. That would be notable as well for potential impact on the sector. And another takeaway this week is extraction plays. As we know, heading into the fall, when the MJ sector usually gets its momentum and turns things around, we're going to be looking for extraction plays to be hitting all-time highs. Some of them already are, but that's pretty much the focus that I'm going to be looking at into the fall. Yes, other names should benefit from any potential run-up into October and December as well, but the extraction plays with lower market caps will have a lot of attention. So CGC, here we have our low. We knew the bounce was going to form just a daily lower high, so we're not getting too excited for oversold bounces. Now the question is, can we change this trend? Can we hold 33.38 and break 36.74 to see a little daily higher low and higher high for the first time in months? And that's what we're going to be watching this coming week. Even if we see that trend change, we need to get over the exponential resistances as well, because that will still be a potential resistance point that will keep the price contained even with that trend change. Best case scenario would be essentially higher low and higher high, get over $38, turn these exponential moving averages into support, and most notably see increasing bullish volume. That's something that we haven't really seen as far as sustained multiple days in a row. And you go back to any significant bull move, and it's increasing bull volume that marks follow through. And that's what we have been lacking all summer. CRON gave a bit of a fake out on Friday. So we had our low for CRON. The high of the bounce was up at 1526. We did form a little higher low here, and here's what I'm talking about with the exponential resistance level. So breaking the price is great, and changing that trend with a little higher low and higher high, but we rejected from exponential resistance and got zero follow through. It was marked with a big upper wick, and we're still right back to square one. At this point, because of the break of 1526 and no follow through, 1585 is the most important level for me, and also knowing that if that level breaks, we will likely turn these exponential moving averages into support. Keep in mind that for CRON, we are looking for a weekly higher low. We have the low of 1351, high of 1786. Here's our weekly higher low attempt at 1391, and now the bulls this coming week have to break 1533 to try and make our way back up to the $17 range. And that's a notable difference between CRON and CGC. Keeping in mind the bigger picture, monthly time frame, we've been looking for CRON to give us his monthly high or low. Hasn't done it convincingly yet, but it can. So over the next month, if we can see a shift and a move back up into the $17 range, breaking that level would change the weekly trend with a higher low and higher high, and that would make it very convincing that our monthly high or low had been established. It's going to take a lot of work for the bulls to pull that off, but we have the framework of what's required for the bulls to prove a clear longer-term momentum shift for us, and now the question is, can the bulls follow through with that? ACB still taking it on the chin as far as the bearish reaction to the Bank of America bearish note. So we have the low, high, and we're scouting a higher low compared to 662. If the hourly RSI were to get oversold as we approach 662, there's a potential bottom fishing play off of that level. So if we were to drop down towards that level on Monday, keep an eye on the hourly RSI, and we'll see if we can at least stay within this tightening daily range. If we break 662, we're back at multiple month lows, and we would then be looking down at 655 as the next support level. Just a daily downtrend with lower highs continuing on ACB. APHA, same thing. Only thing the bulls have going for them this week was obviously a decent little bounce, but again, just lower highs, low bear volume. So inside bars, sideways trading forming, the bulls have to form a higher low and then break 668 to change this daily trend. And again, exponential resistance. We have to get over those levels as they continue to contain the price. So tomorrow, or I should say next week, is put up or shut up for the bulls. TLRY. This is getting interesting. Can we form the weekly higher low? 34.25, the high was 51. Higher low is trying to form at 42. That would be a fairly decent midway point of this bounce, but the bulls have to change the daily trend. We have our low, high, trying for a higher low. Bulls have to break 45, 48 to change the daily trend, and that would make us convinced that our weekly higher low has been established, and the bulls would try and make their way over 51 if that is indeed how it plays out. So first things first, next week, have to hold the low, ideally 42.69, and break 45.48 to see that shift in momentum. And if we could see that on a spike in bull volume, that would help with convincing us. CTST still weak. A lot of rumors back and forth, who's buying it out, things like that. But again, just stick to the price action. And if we can't break 320, the bears keep complete control. It's a double top at this point, and it's clear the bears are establishing their line in the sand and their defense right at that point. And we're looking down at short-term support of 267 and then the low of 243. Week close on Friday down at the low, and this is a potential daily bear flag. If we were to drop down and break 267 on Monday, then the odds of a bear flag on the daily time frame would increase. And if we break 320, we zoom out to the weekly and say, all right, weekly bounce is underway, but we're just looking for a weekly lower high to form. OGI, tightening range, equilibrium is going to be anticipated. We've got the high, the low of the pullback, lower high, and we're scouting a higher low. Again, hourly oversold conditions, if we get them, if we drop down on Monday into the low $8 range, hourly oversold conditions is when we're going to scout for our daily higher low to form. I anticipate OGI is going to stay in this tightening daily range probably through next week, unless there's some kind of news event, but the volume is dropping off, which shows the tightening range, and we're going to look for a break perhaps early August, but we'll take it one day at a time as always. HEXO still not doing anything for the bulls. Again, any name that looks like a falling wedge, keeping an eye on it just because of what Curaleaf did. Obviously, the news was the biggest reason that we saw that bull break, but when you see a tightening range like this, you know that a break is imminent. Either a clear breakdown or a break up. This pattern generally favors the bulls. So at this point, we've got a clear resistance of 515. The bulls have to break 515 and 525 to see any kind of clear shift in momentum. And again, the daily exponential resistance with how long it's been containing the price has to turn into support. And we have to see 2 green days in a row. I keep saying it on HEXO to see any kind of follow through. Keeping in mind, bigger picture, right? We're always looking at the bigger picture, and most names, we are still looking for monthly higher lows. So we can't, as bulls, we get lulled into this sense of, oh, it's just the same thing, slow grind down over and over. But as long as we're still looking for a monthly higher low, we're going to set a monthly higher low at some point as we head into the fall, and we certainly don't want to miss that. We can wait for shifts in momentum on the shorter term timeframes like the daily chart, But what are the odds that we form a higher low compared to 302? I'd say very, very extremely likely, and we're just patiently waiting for the daily shift in momentum. Keep an eye on HEXO for the next couple of weeks to see if we can get this daily trend change. So VGW, I haven't liked the short-term range because it's been a bit choppy. Nice spike in volume on Friday and a close up at the high of the day. And we did shift and break an hourly resistance. We had 423 and 424 as a double top, and that's still the case. So bulls need to follow through on Monday with a little bit more of a convincing break. That would be a clear hourly trend change. And then from there, we're looking back up at 469. So again, looking at it on the weekly time frame, what are the odds that a name that's an extraction play heading into when extraction is going to be the talk of the town, and we're currently within less than 20% from all-time highs, I'd say the odds are pretty darn good that we're going to see new all-time highs in VGW heading into the fall. So let's see if the bulls are able to position themselves well heading out of the summer lull. And if that's what your chart looks like on the weekly time frame after a summer lull for an entire sector, you're doing well. So clearly the extraction plays have held up the best, in my opinion. Labs, increasing bull volume, big bull day. 547 break was notable. We have broken the daily lower high pattern, keeping in mind that we do still have to see a daily higher low and higher high to confirm the trend change, but this is certainly convincing for a shift in momentum. Remember the monthly time frames, just looking for a higher low to be established. VGW gave us that monthly higher low a while back, and looking at a monthly tightening range potentially forming there, I'd love to see this monthly range continue to tighten up, and then as we head into September for the bulls to unleash a blue sky breakout run, keeping in mind that these names, these extraction plays, are listed on the TSX Ventures, and they're thinly traded, the OTC, and this is exactly why we're interested in USMJ names. Obviously, all the fundamental reasons for potential shifts politically and all that, but the fact that they are so thinly traded, when there's hype and when the bull volume comes in, they run harder. Just like when the hype fades and the bear volume takes over, they dump harder. So in this instance, I would like to see these names stay on, well, I take that back. I'd like to see positions established in these names while they're on lower exchanges, see them run a bit, and then see them uplist. I mean, that would just be fireworks as far as blue sky breakouts go. So there's another name, oils, that I'm not covering here because it's a penny stock and it's not really seeing any strength. These are the three that I'm focusing on. VGW, Labs, and NEPT. As we head into the fall, those have my attention. So for Labs, again, getting a bit extended hourly time frame, the RSI is up in the upper 70s. We have not seen an hourly higher low form since 470, so we're definitely a bit extended. So I personally will potentially be watching for an entry on a daily higher low once we top out and then look for that healthy consolidation. NEPT, another extraction play, and clearly bulls are ripping it. So if we look at the monthly time frame and what this looked like as we're hitting all-time highs, it's just a V-shaped recovery, significant pullback. We dropped over 50%, and then just like that, here we are at all-time highs. So this is another one that's too extended for me personally to like, and this is a cup and handle pattern. 522 resistance, a cup of consolidation, inability to break 522 by less than 2%, little bull flag, and then huge breakout. So when we look for a daily consolidation, a loss of the hourly uptrend will indicate daily consolidation is underway, and 586 is our higher low right now. So if we don't break 586 on Monday, the bulls keep control. Resistance is 622, and then psychological levels, so we'll look up to 650. And when we lose the hourly uptrend, that's when daily consolidation is underway. So potentially watching for daily consolidation for entries into NEPT and VGW, or Labs, I should say. Still waiting for a bit more clarity on VGW for me personally, but let's see if these runs get going. Keeping in mind it's a little bit early. We're still in July, August, September, October could be a sell the news event, depending on the date and depending on what the charts look like. And the market is definitely going to be wise up after the last time the sell the news event got a lot of resistance when we were looking for the sell the news event on the first day of recreational sales. And I think the market realized, oh, yep, sell the news is a thing. And a lot of people learned about that. So it might get priced in rather than seeing sell the news the day before, the actual things go into effect. Maybe it's 2-3 weeks before. So again, always taking things one day at a time. But what the charts look like the month and the 2 weeks leading up into October and that important date is going to be important. NRTH, trying to shift the daily momentum, but still weak. 78 and 76 are supports. 85 and 88 are resistances. We're closer to supports breaking than resistance at this point. Certainly worth paying attention to because a break of 88 would be a clear shift on this daily time frame. But until we break resistances, have to be skeptical of the bulls in this prolonged downtrend. KHRN, solid bounce here as well. Inverse head and shoulders style setup where we've got our little left shoulder here. There's our head of consolidation. Resistance is 238 and 238, a little double top at these two levels. Now we're trying to form the right shoulder. Healthy consolidation, still a potential little daily bull flag. Very low bear volume. Trying for a higher low and then a break at 238. If the bulls can break 238 next week, that will be a shift in momentum. We'll turn the exponential moving averages into support, and we could potentially see the first bull cross since the all-time highs of these exponential moving averages. That would be a notable shift in momentum. Monthly time frame, we're just looking for a monthly higher low to form, but due to the size of the pullback, we would also just be looking for a monthly lower high to form whenever that momentum does shift. But again, if you're looking at this chart, declining bear volume the last 4 months, still in an uptrend. Let's not lose sight about the amount of names still in monthly uptrends looking for monthly higher lows to form. So overall, things perking up a little bit. Maybe not so much in the major Canadian MJ names. They still have a lot of proving to do. I'm still going to be tough on them as far as being skeptical of the bulls. But it's nice to see the extraction plays getting some attention. And always the more profit we see in this sector, the more money there is to go around elsewhere. So it's always nice when names are running. And again, that boosts confidence and it changes sentiment as well. So let's see what these extraction plays can do over the next couple of months. And again, keeping a significant amount of focus on them as we head into the fall. Appreciate you watching. We'll check in on the USMJ sector shortly. Have a good weekend. So no video to wrap it up today, so I'll tell a couple stories from just observations around the pond. The first is involving the frogs. So the frogs that you've heard at the end of these videos are all the little ones, the little peepers. And the ones out back in the pond, or out front in the pond, are much different sounding. And rather than being the high chirp, it's more of a roar, roar, roar. And so I haven't been able to observe them because anytime you get close, they just jump into the water or they're easily disrupted. So I sat back about 50, 100 feet and was just hanging out in the grass and watched these two frogs where it was the middle of the daytime, but one of them was sitting on his lily pad, a smaller guy, and a big guy came up out of the water and they started yelling at each other with their big throats going at it. And the big one just would slowly approach the little one that was sitting on the lily pads. And then they got to a point and they went up like that and met stomach to stomach like two big sumo wrestlers. And they interlocked their arms and did these 3 big barrel rolls splashing all around. Then they disappeared under the water. And then the bigger of the frogs rose up to the top. I assume the other one swam away and that was now his spot. So after observing, that's what they're yelling about. Now every time I hear them, pretty much all night they're just establishing their territory and their own little nook of the pond to each other. So I can't stop from hearing now, this is my spot, stay away. And that's now the image I have of the frogs. Another observation about the language of the ducks, I'm starting to learn what their calls mean. After hanging out with the chickens for a long time, you get to know what all their calls mean. And for the ducks, it's the same thing. So now I know food please, where's mom, danger, all these different calls that they make. They have a good morning call as well. I guess that's similar to the where's food call. But mom goes and she'll leave them every now and again and fly away. And there's a bunch of ponds within a 300-yard radius. And so she'll go and check out and scout out the other areas. And they don't always stay in my yard. They go to a pond in a different yard and they'll disappear for a day or two before they come back. And so it's almost, I become a duck babysitter because they'll be out and exposed in the open eating food when mom's not around. And normally mom is, when they're eating, she lets them get all the food and she's just watching. And you can see her tilt her head up whenever there's a shadow or something that flies, she's looking up for the hawk. And so when they don't have that protection, they don't know it. They're still obliviously just wandering around. So mom will leave and I'll hang out with them when they're up in the open. And this morning when I open the door, I usually open the door in the morning and yell something out to the ducks and they come running up the lawn and I give them some food. But this morning they didn't do that, and as soon as I opened the door, they gave the danger call, And so I knew something was up. I didn't know what it was, but as I started to walk towards the pond, the hawk was perched right in the tree above them as they were in the water, and they were almost being, held captive in the water because they couldn't go anywhere, or the hawk would come after them. So chased the hawk off, he flew away, and then what the mom does is when she comes back, she can't really fly in at an angle and skim on the pond because it's surrounded by trees. So she literally just dive bombs, and she'll yell really loud. She'll honk that she's coming in, and then watching the babies and the mom reunite every time, and all their happy chirping is a very fun thing. So those are observations in the world of nature. And we'll do a bed update. Hopefully next time we update the beds on Monday, they'll be a lot further along. Gonna go move some manure. See y'all next time.